Well, hello again there, everybody. Week 7 of the high school football season is in the books. I was at Plainfield tonight where the Quakers pretty well dominated the Franklin Grizzly Cubs 38-3. And, coming off that loss last week to Decatur Central, you weren't sure how Plainfield was going to come out and play tonight, but they played really well. I was very impressed. Hunter Newell, 14 for 18, a couple touchdown passes, and ran the ball with success. Luke Starnes didn't have a huge day statistically, but had 54 yards and two touchdowns. Plainfield's defense really just controlled everything up front. Landon Drennan, Seth Martin, Alex Holtzclaw, those guys, especially those three, really made it tough on Franklin, which Alex Luger is a very good running back for Franklin, but they couldn't get really anything going offensively. The passing game struggled. They had 2 interceptions, and were playing from behind, which is not really their style anyway. But it was 14-0 after a turnover and a long pass by Newell for a touchdown. And from that point on, really, Plainfield, took control. It was 30-0 at one point, 30-3 going into halftime. And then they really stepped on the gas that first drive of the second half, got a touchdown run to go up 38-3. And then, you're playing from a running clock at that point. And, they really didn't have any, at that point, you're just kind of playing the clock out. So 38-3, it ends up. And Plainfield moves on. They play Whiteland next week. I really think this is a team that has a real shot to win in 5A. You look at Decatur Central, which beat Plainfield last week. I think they're another team that has an opportunity to make a run in 5A, depending on, who comes out of that sectional, really. I mean, those two teams and Harrison are probably going to battle each other. 5A as a whole, very wide open class. Bloomington North and South are right there at the top. And then, you got some other teams. I wouldn't count out Whiteland either, but it's just a very, sort of open class. Fort Wayne Snyder is another team right up there. And then, up in the region, there's Merrillville, Valpo, Mishawaka is another team up north. And then, in the south, it's just, like I said, it could be one of those teams. But and I think Plainfield's definitely got the weapons at receiver. They've got a good running game, and I was very impressed with their defense tonight. So we'll see. I mean, it's a team that, Tyler Bless was a coach in waiting last year with Brian Woodard, so he kind of knows the personnel. I'm going to write a little bit more about that, but, just that transition's worked out really well in hindsight, and they have good players, and it's been a tough schedule. The Mid-State's really good this year, but they just keep finding ways to win. Especially, I was curious coming off that loss to Decatur how they handle that. Obviously, handle it really well. So they have at Whiteland and Martinsville to close out, and then we'll start sectional play. Actually, probably not that fall. It'd be 2 weeks after that, so not till the end of October for sectional games. But again, 38-3, Plainfield wins it tonight against Franklin. Franklin drops to 4-3. That was actually, those two teams were tied atop the Mid-State, so that puts Plainfield back in first place by themselves in the Mid-State. Some of the other scores tonight, and it was kind of an interesting night. It wasn't a lot of just there weren't a lot of just massive games but there was a lot of really good matchups. So and we saw some of how those played out tonight around the area, and of course I mentioned mine. Fishers beat Franklin Central 29-23. Clark Wade was out at that game and was texting with him. Fishers got up 22-3 and then kind of had to hold on. They scored a couple touchdowns on pick sixes, but then Franklin Central got an interception return from Jayon Harvey, their two-way star player, and then actually got within 29-23 and had the ball, but couldn't go anywhere with it. So Fishers does hold on to win 29-23. Brownsburg 59-21 over Zionsville tonight. Crazy game there. I don't have the numbers exactly on Garrett Sherrill. I'll see if I can look those up as we're going here. But I know he had a huge game tonight. So Brownsburg rolls on again 59-21 over Zionsville. Also, Ben Davis 45-16 over Carmel. That game was 10-0 at halftime, and then kind of exploded in the second half. And Ben Davis gets the win. Again, 45-16 over Carmel. Looking at some of the stats here, Godkowski had 214 passing. Zachary had 77 receiving. Elijah Price 97 rushing. So, pretty dominant game there from the Giants tonight. Decatur Central, a wild game, 63-42 over Greenwood. Actually trailed in that game at one point to 28-7. So Decatur comes all the way back and wins in a big way. Ends up winning by 3 touchdowns in that game. Lutheran beat Monrovia 49-14. So I thought that could be an interesting game. Monrovia obviously really runs the ball well. Hard to do that, though, against a team like Lutheran that can shut you down and can also score the way that they can. So Lutheran goes on to win, ranked number 1 in Class 1A, 49-14. New Pal beats Shelbyville 49-7. HSE beats Noblesville 43-22 in that one. And so HSE, that's another good win for them. And, we're only a couple weeks away. They'll play Brownsburg, actually, with a chance to potentially tie Brownsburg for the HCC, depending on what happens next week in the HCC. So Louisville Male beats Roncalli 43-0. Been a kind of a tough go there for Roncalli the last couple weeks. Cathedral goes over to Cincinnati and beats Cincinnati LaSalle 39-26. And Jalen Bonds had a big rushing game along with Danny O'Neill. If that's right, they both had 166 on the ground. So didn't really have to pass a ton, although they actually did. O'Neill had 22 for 30 for 150 yards. So still was able to put up some good numbers in the passing game as Cathedral wins. They'll play in 2 weeks. They play Center Grove. And again, that game moved to Butler University, not going to be played at Arlington this year. It'll be played at Butler instead. So just an FYI on that. That came out earlier this week, and that's, again, still a couple weeks away. Pelton Heights beat Delta 28-23. Another good win for the Arabians, who are having a really good season this year. Hamilton Heights, all they do is just shut people out every week. They win 43-0 over Tipton, and that's number 5 in a row, I believe, now for Hamilton Heights as far as shutouts go. So that's fairly ridiculous. You don't see that happen very often. Center Grove beat Pike 48-17. Again, that was a running clock game in the second half entirely. Tyler Cherry 13 for 16 for 211. And that's kind of the big number there as far as that game goes. Terre Haute South beat Brebeuf 32-25. Thought that could be a tough game for Brebeuf against Terre Haute South. Pretty solid team that can really throw the ball. And they put up some numbers tonight on Brebeuf, which Brebeuf came back in that game, but couldn't quite get all the way back. It was 17-6 at halftime, so they were playing from behind in the second half. Tri-West beat North Montgomery 38-0. Some of the other scores: Beech Grove rolled 62-20 over Cardinal Ritter. Chittard wallops Andrean 41-0. Cascade 40-19 over Owen Valley. Addicts beat Shortridge, a big IPS game tonight, 28-22. Both those teams pretty strong this year in IPS. Danville beat Frankfurt 46-6. Eastern Hancock over Monroe Central 40-26. Edinburgh gets their first win, 54-18 over Irvington Prep. Greenfield Central in a wild one beat Yorktown 35-30. Going down here, Guerin Catholic, good win over Northview 29-24. And Indian Creek beat Speedway 35-21. Lawrence Central beat North Central 49-20. And another good one here, a weird one, a wild one, 48-7. Lawrence North beats Warren Central. I don't know what happened there exactly in that game, but obviously Lawrence North played really well, and they have played well for a large most of this season, but you would not expect that score at all. So very surprising result there, or not result necessarily, but score. LaPel beat Heritage Christian 29-15. Lebanon over Crawfordsville 35-0. Martinsville beat Perry 37-31. and Mooresville beat Whiteland 21-7. So a couple results there in the Mid-State Conference that are in what has been a very balanced league all year. Mount Vernon beat Newcastle 51-21. Plainfield, like I said, I was at that one, 38-3. Plainfield was very impressive. Sheridan 37-14 over Delphi. Southport beat Terre Haute North. Good. Southport ends their long losing streak in a big way, 43-7 to beat Terre Haute North. In that one, Triton Central all over Cecina, 38-14. West Dell beat Tinley, 35-14. Westfield beat Avon, 38-14, and Western Boone 29-6 over Southmont tonight. So those are the major results from our area. And again, I had the Plainfield game 38-3 over Franklin tonight, and good, very impressive. I think the Quakers again, they're going to have a chance to go pretty far this year and do some things in 5A. Could come down to them and Decatur Central, and and we'll see. There's some other good teams obviously in 5A too, but that's been a relatively wide open class. So again, thanks for joining us here and in wrapping up week number 7. It's hard to believe it's been 7 weeks already. So thanks again. We'll have more coming. A lot of coverage obviously coming this week into week 8, and then we'll have the tournament draw next Sunday. So not too far away. So be back. We'll have lots of coverage in IndyStar.com. Thanks a lot.